In the late 1980s, voices in South Ossetia calling for further autonomy from the Georgian SSR were growing louder. Then, after several years of fierce fighting and hundreds of people killed, South Ossetia declared full independence in 1992, something widely not recognized among UN member states. A few months later, a Russian-led force with Georgian and Ossetian involvement was tasked with peacekeeping a ceasefire agreement, yet this mission was far from neutral. Amiran Salukvadze, a former commander of the Georgian Air Force, remembers that just a few months before the 2008 war, Russia's activities became increasingly suspicious.
Just before the 8th of August, Russia held massive Caucasus 2008 war drills. They were the first modern drills of such scale in Russia's modern history. These drills felt like pre-war preparations. Peacekeepers are deployed because warring factions sometimes shoot. Peacekeepers have to prevent that. If there is a standoff, they have to compel both sides to peace and make them return to their positions. This is how it is described. What did Russia do? They took one of the sides.
Georgian villages were shelled by artillery. In an attempt to stabilize the situation, Tbilisi pushed for a ceasefire, offering the militant fighters an amnesty and more autonomy for South Ossetia. However, the Russian-backed forces did not stop the shellings. This is what pushed the decision of the Georgian government to attack and clear its Tskhinvali of militants. The Russian military responded by targeting Georgian-controlled positions with airstrikes and shelling. It was a response many military experts say was hardly spontaneous. In the following days, the Russian forces attacked ports, military bases, and the homes of Georgians. The military power of both sides of the conflict was far from equal. 408 Georgians were killed in the conflict, 228 of them were civilians. The number of injured exceeded 2,000. The diplomatic involvement of France helped end the conflict. Still, a fifth of Georgian territory is still occupied. The only countries that recognized the independence of South Ossetia were Russia, Syria, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Nauru.
You know, it's hilarious. If Russia, Nauru, Bashar al-Assad and some place like Venezuela recognize South Ossetia and Abkhazia as independent states, then why is it that the Russian FSB is guarding their border? Why do they have rubles as the currency? Why are the pensioners paid from the Russian budget?
Throughout the 11 years of occupation, the Russian military is moving the so-called border with Georgia, adding meters to the territory of self-proclaimed republics. And with these meters, local residents are also transferred to Russian control. Often these people are not able to return to Georgia. People are kidnapped along this border every month. They are thrown into prisons and a fine is being extorted from them for crossing the border. This is how these pseudo-republics fill their budgets and their pockets.
There are several cases of deaths of young people that have families, wives and kids. One of the most infamous cases in Georgia was a year ago. It was a murder. Let's name it for what it was. Archil Tatunashvili was kidnapped by the so-called FSB of South Ossetia. That man died. Ossetians said heart failure. The next version was that he tripped on the stairs. A month later, they returned the body with some piece of paper that said he had heart failure. The body bore scars from torture, stab wounds from knives, and other things.
To this, Russians have no response. Reported by Lyubov Zadorozhna, UATV.